Okay, we're going to try this again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tigers Baseball Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Chris Schulte. I didn't hit the record button the first time, so we're going to do this all over again. Because I'm like that. So, it is Monday, June 5th, 2023. This is when the podcast is being recorded. Hopefully, you guys are having a good week. And fortunately for you guys, the listeners, you're having a better week than the Detroit Tigers had for a weekend and the first day of the week as well. Detroit coming off a winning month, 16-11 in May. They're not going to do that in June, I don't think. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that for reasons that we'll get into in just a moment. Let's go ahead and get into the injury report. Over the weekend, it was learned that Alex Faedo broke his fingernail. He actually split it down to the nail bed, and having had an injury that involves the nail bed, I know how painful that can be. He is on the injured list and will miss at least 2 starts. Garrett Hill was called up to take his place on the roster. He will start tomorrow. It's a bullpen day for the Tigers, and the bullpen is going to need all the help they can get on Wednesday from Reese Olson because they got an off day on Thursday, but tonight they didn't have an off day. The Tigers lost 8-3 to Philadelphia, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Tarek Skubal had a rehab assignment start yesterday. He threw 12 pitches in Single A or High A West Michigan. Went 2 innings, 12 pitches, 10 for strikes, got through the first inning in 5 pitches because that's just what Reese Olson does. Tarek Skubal does. It's very difficult if you're a high A player and you go in and there's a left-hander throwing 98 miles an hour with command that you're facing. Even if it is his first rehab start, you don't want to deal with that. So, by all intents and purposes, everything was good after the start. He seems healthy today. The Tigers really need him to show up, and he needs to come back as soon as he can. It probably will be 30 days. He's probably going to get 6 starts in those 30 days to get his innings up and everything like that. And even then, the Tigers are going to monitor his innings and pay close attention to his innings because they don't know. This is new territory. The flexor tendon situation is new. And let's look at what Matt Boyd has gone through this year. He's had some command issues. So, hopefully it gets sorted, and we'll see what that comes down to. Matt Manning is throwing another live BP in Philly this week, and then will possibly be considered for a rehab assignment as well. Again, this is something the Tigers went through last year. If you remember last year, everybody on their starting rotation, the starting rotation on opening day last year was Eduardo Rodriguez, Casey Mize, Matt Manning, Tarek Skubal, and Michael Pineda. All 5 of them were on the injured list. Some of them still are. Skubal and Mize are particularly the ones that I'm thinking of. Matt Manning doesn't count because he actually came back off the injured list last year and pitched pretty well and was throwing well this year as well until he broke his pinky toe. So, it's just one of those things that teams go through it, and the Tigers are still searching for the magic to be able to keep their starting rotation healthy, and we'll see where that goes. So we now know what this Tigers offense is going to look like without Riley Greene in it, and pedestrian is a overstatement of how bad this team is going to be without Riley Greene on it offensively. So he went on the injured list on Wednesday. Detroit has scored 9 runs in the 5 games that they've played since he's gone on the injured list. They've won 1, they've lost 4, including being shut out in Chicago on Friday as the beginning of a series sweep by the White Sox. No fault of Reese Olson on Friday night, no fault of Michael Lorenzen on Saturday, and no fault of Matthew Boyd yesterday. The bullpen really, really fell apart over the weekend. Alex Lang gave up a walk-off grand slam. That is so unusual for him. Those are the first 4 runs that he's given up since April. So that should tell you something about how things are going for Alex Lang, the Tigers closer. So they had a winning month in May. I don't see that happening in June again. This team is going to struggle to make it to 75 wins now that Riley Greene's not in that offense because Torkelson's not there yet. Baez is Baez. Scope is a shadow of himself. Eric Haas hasn't figured it out yet. These guys need to, because if they do, then the Tigers have a chance to be competitive again. If not, you're going to be looking at a situation where every pitch is a pressure pitch for your starting rotation and your bullpen, and you're going to burn people out in a hurry. So let's hope that some people step up around the offense and get things going and get hot. And if they do, then we can look at this team in a different light again. But right now, third place in the American League Central, they'll be lucky to finish that way. The way Chicago looked over the weekend, they'll be lucky to finish that way. Chicago's getting it back together, folks. Liam Hendriks is back. That's a huge piece in their bullpen. He's come back from cancer, and he's looking really, really good. So, at the end of the day, Cleveland is going to be tough. Minnesota is going to be tough. That's the first divisional series that Detroit has lost against the White Sox. They're still 9-7 in divisional play, so they're still over 500 right now in the division. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be above 500 in the division at the end of the year. Granted, it's only 52 games instead of 76, but still. You got to go 27-25 to be above 500, and I don't think this team can do that in this division. I really don't. Not without Riley Greene, because he was that hot. He was hitting that well in the offense and making this offense go, and I don't see anybody stepping up to do that anymore. Akil Baddoo's not capable of doing it. We don't have anybody. Kerry Carpenter's on a rehab assignment, and he's not doing well. He can't throw the baseball, which is fine, except for the fact that there's this guy named Cabrera that's doing the DH work. And you got to think that he's going to get more of a chance than Carpenter because, $32 million. So this team is going to finish with 75 wins. They're going to struggle to get there. They're going to be in fourth place in the division. And it's not going to be A.J. Hinch's fault. And if I'm Scott Harris, I don't even think about firing A.J. Hinch. I think about continuing on with the project and continuing on with the path that this team is on, because this team still is sixth in the league in walk rate. They're in chase rate. They're the sixth best team in the league in chase rate. That means there's only 5 other teams with lower chase rates than the Tigers. So things are starting to turn around from an offensive standpoint as far as understanding what the job is and understanding what the mission is and understanding what Scott Harris wants in dominating the strike zone. This is with Javi Baez and Jonathan Scope and Miguel Cabrera in the lineup on a regular basis. They're still 6th best in overall chase rate. So they're doing better from that standpoint. They just need to get some power involved. They need Torkelson to start hitting bombs. They need Haas to start hitting. They need Baez to start hitting. They need Akil Baddoo to start hitting. Akil Baddoo is your third place hitter right now because they don't have anybody better to hit there. But he needs to start hitting. If he doesn't, when Kerry Carpenter gets back from his rehab assignment, Akil Baddoo could be heading back down to the minors. We're not even going to speculate on who's going to go down because Zach Shorten and Andy Ibanez were guys that were called up as replacements for Kerry Carpenter and Matt Manning, actually. So We're not going to speculate on that. But we're also going to look at it from the standpoint of just based on current performance and based on needs. If Kerry Carpenter's coming up and he's hitting homers and he's getting extra base hits, hitting with a little bit of power, a Kerry Carpenter in left field that can't throw but is still hitting 250 with the potential to hit you 25 homers versus Akil Baddoo who's can't throw in left field and is not producing at the plate. As much as I love Akil Baddoo's game as far as running the bases and getting steals and making things happen on the bases, I'll take Kerry Carpenter because I like the long ball. I like guys that are going to make an impact on the game with one swing of the bat. Because you're depending too much on the people behind Baddoo if he gets on base and steals a base to drive him in. So that's where we stand there. Outside of that, really not much going on this week. I really don't see the Tigers doing well in Philly. They might win one out of those 3 games. But based on the way Joey Wentz pitched tonight, and the way the bullpen has gone over the last few days, I don't have a lot of faith in this team. Especially considering that tomorrow's a bullpen day and Garrett Hill's going to get the start. So he's going to go a couple innings. Then you'll probably see Chase and Shreve, although he pitched tonight. So you never know. You might see Tyler Holden at that point. You won't see Mason Englert. He pitched a couple of innings tonight. So you'll probably see Hill for a couple, then Holden, then possibly Tyler Alexander. And then if everything goes the way we want it to, Foley and Lang. But we'll see where that goes. And then Wednesday, of course, is Reese Olson's second appearance of his career, his second start of his career. He looked good on Friday, went 5 scoreless, 5 no-hit innings, as a matter of fact, against the White Sox. But the Phillies' offense is a different offense. They take their walks. The White Sox didn't do that. So that's going to be a different animal for him. But that's the big leagues. Every start is something different. Every start is a different offense. Then Detroit comes home for the weekend. They got a series starting on the 9th, so they got an off day on Thursday. So hopefully Olson can pitch a few good innings, can give them some innings on Wednesday, and the bullpen can get 2 days of rest. Because then when games start on Friday, they'll be able to be a bit better rested than they will be after today and tomorrow. Look, Joey Wentz, I have nothing against him. But I just think he's at a point in his development that's behind where he is. So he's in situations that he's not yet ready for. If that makes any sense. And I clearly, I truly think that he is capable. I think that he's going to be a good major league pitcher. Maybe it's in the bullpen. I don't know. I can't speak to that too much. But I do know that he is right now. It's a struggle for him just to get outs and to be consistent. And he doesn't know where the ball's going. And he really needs to be in AAA, but he can't be because we don't have anybody to come up and take his place in the rotation. So we just have to deal with what he's going to be for once every 5 games. And hope the pen is rested. With all that being said, he pitched really well on Wednesday, but that's my point. The inconsistency is real with Joey Wentz. So hopefully he gets that sorted and we benefit from it. He should. It's just going to take some time. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close it down for the week. I thank everybody for listening. I thank Anchor for the distribution of the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast via one of the podcast aggregators that are out there, catch us on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/@TVPodcast. We're on Mastodon, TV Podcast, at TV Podcast, at tweescake.social. That's TWEESE cake.social. We're also on Twitter at Podcast Tigers. You can also email the show, tigersbaseballpodcast@gmail.com. It's the world's longest email address. I'm proud of that. Until next week, I really appreciate you guys for hanging around, listening to me, and we will catch up with you next week. Thanks again for listening, and go Tigers.